Welcome back. This is once again the Robaer Report. Hope I'm not struggle streaming today. Sometimes this internet connection goes in and out. I was listening to last week's stream, and it looks like the audio was not on track with the video. So for those of you who watch it now or in the future, hey, just know I'm admitting to my fault today. But welcome back. Once again, it's Monday night. Today is September 26th, and we are here doing the Robaer Report, broadcasting. Shout out to Black USA News Team, the Robaer Report YouTube channel, Black USA News on Facebook and YouTube, and shout out to the Dunning Glover Network. Those are the platforms that we will be broadcasting on tonight. And we're here with the Robaer Report, where we discuss individuals and their contribution to society. Today, we're going to talk about institution. So not so much an individual, but if you know anything about sociology, an institution is made up of individuals who are making that thing work. So shout out to the institution for the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. For those of you who caught the show last week, or for those of you who will catch the show in the future from last week, I gave a discussion of being carjacked in Washington, D.C. on Sunday night. That was the 18th, I believe it's September 18th. If I got that day wrong, I apologize. Please forgive me. And I gave a rundown of how I felt. And this week has been very promising. 8 days after the event, 7 days after I gave my report on the Robaer Report. And today we're going to talk about one of the great things that the city offers in regard to victims of violent crimes, such as I was. Thankfully, I'm still alive. So I wasn't scared or anything, but thankfully, I'm still alive. And I'll be coming to you all more as events unfold. Because it's not a closed matter yet. You would think that it'd be a closed matter, but as of last Tuesday, the vehicle was still riding around Washington, D.C. Tuesday night with the same tags. So that was last Tuesday, which was I believe that was September 20th. Who knows what's happening? I have yet to receive an update. But please like and share on Facebook, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Thank you. On any other platforms you're watching on. The Robaer Report YouTube channel, Dunning Glover, Black USA News on Facebook, and Black USA News on YouTube. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about one of the benefits that the city offers. Shout out to the mayor of that great city. I absolutely adore your city. I always have, even before you were in office. Shout out to the mayor. She does an excellent job. She was just at an event with the tourism board, Destination DC, a few weeks ago. I saw her. She was giving a speech. I don't know her, but I saw her on stage. So I know she's putting in work to build, to help, to support the District of Columbia and getting back on track as it was regarding tourism prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has been in all of our lives since February 2019 or so, 2020. Sorry, I dated the pandemic, 2019. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to pull up my screen. I'm going to share my screen. I have a couple of different websites I'm gonna pull up. Well, it's actually just one website, but it's multiple pages inside the website. And the website that I'm going to pull up right now is add this to stream. Thought it was going to add to the stream. I hope add to the stream. I'm on the stream. Oh, I can see. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I see what's going on. It's just a lot smaller. Let's see if I do this. Okay, cool. All right, it comes up. Well, you all see the Black USA News guest speakers on the background. So I was a little bit confused by that, but I'm not confused anymore. So what we're going to do is talk about this website. Right here it said information and resources. Let me get back. All right, let me get back. Let me see streaming. Okay, let me see. All right, so okay, we at the top. Okay, cool. I went to the top. So if I do that, information on attorneys, when I go back, might be a little couple of seconds behind, but it should move. It should move. Wait, information on attorneys. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm sorry. This is what I'm looking for. So it should move. That it moves. So we in real time, I assume. So this is DC courts.gov/services. Have a lot of services for the courts. I'm not here to talk about the courts today in its totality. I'm here to talk about the crime victims compensation, eligibility, application, and compensable costs. They actually have an event coming up on October 2nd, 2022, which is next Sunday. Shoot, I think I might need to go because it would, I can, well, I'll talk to the officers on the scene. Just, I don't want to put my face up there too much, but if it'll help, I will. They have applications for the Crime Victims Compensation Program, CVCP, are processed by staff remotely. They have an email you can send them to. You can submit them, looks like on location. And yeah, so you can download the application. If you need help, they have staff available during weekly working hours. The CVCP program provides financial assistance and reimbursement to innocent victims of violent crime and their families with crime-related expenses. Ooh, wow. Who would have known? You'd think you just suffer from a violent crime, then detective gives you a call, or yeah, this was a detective. I don't believe this was an investigator. If I am wrong in offering your title up, please forgive me and please let me know so I can rectify the situation in any possible way that I can. I'm not going to give any names though, but if they happen to see it. Compensable expenses include, but are not limited to, funeral and burial costs, medical and mental health expenses, yes, lost wages, loss of support, crime scene cleanup, and temporary emergency shelter and relocation. Crime victims compensation staff conduct interviews to determine needs, process claims, and provide referrals to other victim service agencies in the district. The Crime Victims Compensation Program is funded by fines and fees paid to the DC courts. So that's where the money's coming from to support this program. So if you have fines and fees in Washington, D.C., know that your money is potentially going to a good place. I don't know. I've never had to experience this before. So I'm brand new to this, but I just wanted to show what was going on. That website was dccourts.gov/services. And then I'll scroll to the bottom and you're going to find the Crime Victims Compensation tab. All right, so on that, it was eligibility. I'll go back. Let me go back. So we're talking about eligibility, application, and compensable costs. So we'll go to eligibility tab first, and see what makes a person eligible. I mean, this is not a rite of passage, Well, hopefully it's not a rite of passage. It's nothing to be proud of to be eligible. Let me go back. I don't think there's anything to be proud of to be a victim of a crime, a violent crime at that in Washington, D.C. But I still have to note that you may be eligible for some type of compensation, receiving some type of support, treatment options. The city cares. For those who say that Washington, D.C. does not care, that right here shows that the city cares. And even myself, I would have been, if I had not known about this, I would have had my reservations about how much Washington, D.C. is actually able to do for victims. who are involved in violent crimes. And what we're going to do is, looks like I'm buffering a little bit. I hope not, but maybe so. What I'm going to do is show the eligibility. But first, uh, visit blackusa.news, the voice of our people, to be a guest, or if you have a show idea, email editor@blackusa.news. Blackusa.news. Email blackusa.news, or editor. Email to editor@blackusa.news. All right, let me pull up one of these banners again. All right, let's get it. So the eligibility. A person is eligible for compensation by the CVCP if the victim suffered personal injury. And personal injury could be, let me share my screen again. I'm sorry. Let me pull up this one. I'll stop sharing. And I want to share this screen. All right, so let me go right here. Let me go to share screen, Chrome tab. Calling out, hey, if you're trying to get into YouTube, which I'm learning, I'm giving out the first initial steps. Eligibility tab. Is it up there yet? Usually working up. I gotta add it to the stream. Great. Eligibility. A person is eligible for compensation by the CVCP program if the victim suffered personal injury, physical or emotional trauma, or death in the District of Columbia. I'm just gonna say DC. Excuse me. I'm just gonna say DC when it comes to this District of Columbia. Or if the victim is a resident of the district who has suffered personal injury as a result of a terrorist act or act of mass violence committed outside of the United States. So we're just going to focus on, I didn't suffer any physical injury, but I did suffer some emotional trauma. I have deal with sleep issues, sleeping through the night. I wouldn't call it paranoia, but I watch my door because when I was carjacked on last Sunday, I just was told to get out of the car, and everything that was in the car was separated from me, and everything that was on my person went with me. So I had to suffer some emotional trauma. I mean, this is something I'm gonna have to deal with for a while. I mean, I'm going to, if possible, take advantage of this emotional trauma. Victim suffered personal injury that will make me eligible. The crime was reported to law enforcement within 7 days of occurrence. I reported it as soon as it happened. The rest of that doesn't apply to me. The rest of that number 2 doesn't apply to me. But the crime was reported to law enforcement within 7 days of occurrence. Within the first few minutes. Sorry for my stuttering, but first few minutes. Application for a compensation is filed within 1 year after the crime or within 1 year of learning about the program. So I have not filed my application. I have assuming 52 weeks to do so. Just learning about it. We'll get to more on filing the application. We'll get into another web page that will talk more about that. Number 4, the victim cooperates with reasonable law enforcement requests to apprehend the offender. I have been in communication with law enforcement. The victim did not participate in, consented to, or provoked the crime that caused his or her injury. And this is where it gets tricky. Not for me, because I did not participate in, consent to, or provoke the crime. Although you may be a victim of a crime in Washington, D.C., if you voluntarily put yourself in that situation, you pretty much take yourself out of the opportunity to be a victim of a crime and be. Let me step back. Not to take advantage of the opportunity to be a victim of a crime. You lose the opportunity to be compensated because you are a victim of a violent crime. If you willfully put yourself in a position to be a part of that criminal act that victimized you. Yeah, I got a master's degree. I got a gift of gab like crazy. I'm trying to talk over these words because I want to get them right. All right. Number 6, the award of compensation does not unjustly enrich the offender. All right. So those are the 6 eligibility requirements for compensation. Next, we are going to have the application. Well, let's see what this application is. We're going to have this application. Let's see. Where are we? Let me remove this one. I'm going to remove that one. So all of this is public information. It's on the DC Court's website. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to go back to the Chrome tab. And then I'm going to go to services. Have I gone to services? Yes, I'm going to go to services. I hope this is it. Maybe I've already been to services. Yeah, I wouldn't have worried. Give me the buzzer, man. I ain't got the buzzer here, but give me the buzzer. Let me figure out. I went to services. With the eligibility services, compensable costs. Let's go to compensable costs. Let's do that one next. And I'm sure major cities have this as well. I never knew it existed, but now that I do know it exists. Compensable costs. If you are the victim, if you are a deemed victim deemed a victim of a violent crime in Washington, D.C., there are compensable costs. One, first bullet point is medical expenses. Second one is mental health counseling, up to $3,000 for adults, $6,000 for children, also for secondary victims. So if you need mental health support, they definitely have you. And that $3,000 can go a long way if you find a reasonably priced mental health professional, in particular a social worker, probably in this case. But there may be other support that you would need. Physical or occupational therapy or rehabilitation. Lost wages, not to exceed 52 weeks or $10,000. That's interesting. And that's just an option for you. They do have some finance. It won't take care of you. It won't make you unduly wealthy, but it will take care of some of your financial needs whereby you lost wages due to not being able to work due to this being a victim of a violent crime in Washington, D.C. Loss of support to dependents where victim is deceased and Social Security is denied, up to $2,500 per dependent, not to exceed $7,500 per victimization. Funerals, they pay up to $10,000. RIP to those who rest in peace or rest in heaven or rest, however the popular trope is. But I'm from a school of thought where it's rest in peace for those who pass away in general. But in regards to these victims of violent crime, rest in peace, because your family had to go through that trauma of losing you, as well as, but the city will provide up to $10,000 for a burial. I don't know how much it costs to bury for a funeral. I don't know how much a funeral costs, but I know that a funeral generally is not free. Crime scene cleanup, not to exceed $1,000. Replacement of clothing held as evidence by law enforcement, not to exceed $100. Does not apply where victim is deceased. Temporary emergency food and housing made necessary as a result of the crime, not to exceed 120 days or $400 for food costs and $3,000 for housing costs. Moving expenses necessary as a result of the crime where the health and safety of the victim was jeopardized, up to $1,500, not to exceed 120 days. So that's a major one. For people in a situation like mine, that is major because, well, those who carjack your car have your house key or have your vehicle key in my specific situation. And if your vehicle keys are attached to your home key, then they have access to your home. So you have to get the locks changed. Then another one is, and this one is not on here, but if you have your insurance papers or any identifying information about where you reside, they have access to your home, your keys, your windows, just your location where you feel is a shelter and safety for you. So, just one thing I want to note in regard, I'm an insurance agent by training. I've been in this field since 2012, and in talking to customers, I've always mentioned to keep your um, insurance documents in your glove compartment. And after this situation, I don't know if that's the most accurate thing to say to someone because I lost mine, and I don't know where my car is. I don't know where the offenders are, and I try not to bog myself down with those details because it's very depressing. It hurts, but they have access to where I live, so I'm concerned about that. I'll go on to the next one: transportation costs to participate in the investigation or prosecution of the crime, or to receive medical treatment or some other service necessary as a result of the crime. $100 for local and $500 for necessary out-of-state travel to receive services. Replacement of doors, windows, locks, or other items to secure the victim's home, up to $1,000. I got my yeah, so that's a good one right there. That shows, like, that right there actually shows that Washington D.C. cares for the safety of victim of violent crimes. Um, Reimbursement for rental of an automobile while the victim's car is being held as evidence by law enforcement, up to $2,000. Now that's when, if your victim's car is being held as evidence, that's one. But what if they can't find your vehicle? That's a tricky one right there. Next, and this is important right here: attorney's fees. Um, to assist in the appeal of a determination only, not to exceed $500 or 10% of award, whichever is less. And lastly, emergency award, not to exceed $1,000. Who knows what that emergency award is for, but it's there. All right, so stop sharing, go back to my screen. So I may have been buffering. I was not actually able to see my screen because I was to see the channel because I was looking at the screen whereby the compensable costs were. So the next one, we'll look at the application. And this application is pretty detailed. The application is 7 pages long. I'm not going to read the application word for word, but I will just go over the sections of it. Share my screen. Chrome tab. New CVCP application. As of, looks like it was as of, if this date is correct, as of January 10th, 2022. It's a fillable PDF. So it's easy to find on the website. Superior Court, the website for dccourts.org. I believe it was .org. Yeah, .gov, sorry. dccourts.gov. Superior Court of the District of Columbia Crime Victims Compensation Program, CVCP application. There's a part 1, and I believe there's a part 2. Eligibility, the applicant file, claimant name. Yeah, testified that you signed you're a victim or you're a secondary victim, or you file on behalf of someone. Your address, claimant name, crime information. In my case, this is pretty powerful. Check all crimes or attempted crimes that cause physical injury, emotional trauma, or death to the victim or secondary victim: arson, assault, burglary, carjacking, cruelty to children, domestic violence, homicide, kidnapping, labor trafficking, malicious disfiguring, mayhem, riot, robbery, sex trafficking, sexual abuse or assault, sexual performance using a minor, stalking, terrorism, threats, traffic offenses, unlawful use of explosive weapon of mass destruction. Wow, that's pretty intense. And I'm just reading it, and I'm thinking about the amount of people who suffer under these violent crimes. And it's surreal because I'm just reading one. I don't know how many would apply to my situation, but um, I don't know what to say. Like, there have to be a special therapists for in at each one of these sections. Um, because these are some serious offenses. Date of crime, location of the crime, give a brief description, and they'll give you that on your police report. Brief description of crime and injury. Hey, I just took that information and put it, and I'll just put it on there because they wrote it. I mean, I don't want to cause any discrepancies in the report, but I just use what they have. Um, Documentation of crime, police report, and it's right there. You got it. Got your data police report. Um, documentation of crime. There's other areas as well. Part two, compensation. Um, these are the areas that check the box for any assistance you are requesting. Temporary emergency housing or moving expenses for victims in immediate danger. Medical expenses, dental, mental health services, funeral expenses. I believe we've already went over those. So it's pretty detailed. They go pretty deep at detail. They ask you exactly what you want. All applicants must complete Section 14 collateral resources. Are you requesting temporary housing? Are you requesting moving expenses? A referral form should be submitted. Mental health, medical, dental, mental health information. They ask you what do you need. They have it for you. Did you receive medical, dental, or mental health treatment related to the crime? And they actually add your providers. Claimant name and date of birth looks like that is at the top of every page. Funeral expenses. This one doesn't apply to my situation. Thank the Most High God. Then that's Section 3. Then there's Section 4. Lost wages, earnings limit, a total period of up to 52 weeks after the date of the crime, in an amount not to exceed the lesser of 80% of the victim's net pay or $10,000. Was victim employed? Name of victim's employer, date of last employment, supervisor, employer, phone number, employer street. Are you unable to work? How long have you been unable to work? Name of doctor due to disability, doctor's phone number. Are you self-employed? You will be required to complete authorization and release forms. So while they're offering assistance, those who work in this unit don't want you to abuse what can be yours, but don't want you to abuse the system. And I definitely understand that. Emergency award if employed at time of crime, limit up to $1,000. Are you experiencing financial hardship as a result of lost wages? The emergency award will be deducted from any final award. If the emergency award is greater than the final award, the claimant must repay the difference. If compensation is not awarded, the claimant must repay the emergency award in its entirety. Loss of support for victims of homicide or disability. That's if it got pretty rough on the scene. And thankfully that didn't happen in my case, but it happens. You will be required to complete authorization and release form. Secondary victims independence. You have that right there. Loss of services and expenses for substitute services. I know provided by the victim. Okay. I guess this is for secondary. Clothing replacement. Are any of the victim's clothes being held by law enforcement for evidence? List of items being held. Security measures. Are you seeking security measures for the home as a result of the crime? Please submit bill or receipt for service. Crime scene cleanup. Are you seeking reasonable cause social cleanup of the crime scene? Add a bill. Transportation expenses. Do you need assistance with the cost of transportation to receive treatment or services? Reimbursement for a rental car when victim or secondary victim's car is being held by the police as evidence. Was your car held as evidence? Agency holding. Name of police or law, name and phone number of law enforcement officer, car rental company. Please submit rental lease agreement and receipts. Restitution. Has the court ordered the offender to make restitution? Pay you back in a criminal case. Criminal case number. Insurance and other collateral service information. The Crime Victims Compensation Program must consider all collateral resources, other assistance available to you, reviewing a compensation application. You will be required to complete separate authorization and release form documentation of your collateral resources: health insurance, automobile insurance, workman's comp, Medicare, Medicaid, VA, Veterans Administration, TANF, vacation, annual sick pay, food stamp, disability, dental insurance, life insurance, burial insurance, unemployment benefits, Social Security, Child and Family Services Agency, Section 8 HUD housing. You will be required to complete authorization and release forms. So they want to know what's going on in your life with regard to insurance and other collateral source information. And it's fair. That's fair. Even though you're a victim, you still have a life prior. You still had a life prior to that being victimized, and you have things that are going to be coming your way, just as they were if you had or had not been a victim of a crime. Um, Declaration and affirmation. I understand CVC will obtain law enforcement records over or court documents related to my claim. I understand that I can receive reimbursement until CVCP verifies costs and treatment for injuries or trauma from the crime. CVCP will notify me if my claim is approved or denied. I must notify CVCP if I sue the offender or if the court orders the offender to pay me restitution. I understand that if I get any money from a lawsuit related to the crime or the court orders restitution, I may have to repay funds I received from CVCP also relating to the same crime. If DC chooses, it can file its own lawsuit against the offender to recover the money CVCP paid. If DC sues the offender to get the funds back, I must fully cooperate with the lawsuit. And they have a certification and places where you can submit your documentation. Please allow 5 business days for a CVCP team member or to review your compensation application. If you have any questions, they have a phone number for you. You know what? Oh man, that was terrible. I went through this whole thing. I thought I had man, that was a long stream too. But since I missed all that, there's a CVCP application that's fillable that you can go over and get some support that you would need from the District of Columbia. And the last part that I will show is I mentioned it earlier. If you're having trouble, uh, with application or you want some support from a point, have information on attorneys. It's not necessary to have an attorney to file. And CVCP cannot pay attorney's fees for assisting with the filing of a compensation application. All right. It looks like, and I'm not an attorney, I'm not a legal representative, but it looks like that attorney is available for appeals process, and there may be some compensation for the attorney after the appeals process. But I'm not familiar with what's going on the legal side. I just stating what happened to me in my last post, and then stating how DC supports crime victims. Okay, let me put this up. Information on attorneys. So, information on attorneys is right here. So, once again, this is the Robaer Report. I will be signing off. I really thank you for coming to the one person who in here. You know, there may have been multiple people in here, but I can only see, I only have one screen. I don't have the secondary, tertiary screens. But thank you all for coming in and listening. For those of you in the future, I know that if you're a victim of a violent crime, that there may be some support for you. Particularly, this stream was about Washington, D.C. And once again, this is the Robaer Report, where we talk about individuals and their contribution to society. Today, we have discussed an institution. So I may have to update my mission for the program. But shout out to Donnie Glover, who made this thing happen, who had the vision. Shout out to my other co-hosts. And look forward to seeing you all the next stream. I hope to have somebody as a guest on next week. But I wanted to get this out first. This thing was pretty traumatic to me. It still is. And we'll see how it works out. I'll be giving y'all updates. Well, shout out again to the Black USA News team. And this is Robaer Washington with the Robaer Report signing off. Peace.